Hey, welcome to the Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News. I'm Harry, that's Jay, and this is Tyler Anderson. You probably know him from Roller City fame.
I've got a couple of hats in the back here. Just let me know when I need to switch them.
Right. By the way, this segment is brought to you by CG Public Health or cghealth.com, and we appreciate their sponsorship as well. But yeah, Jay, we haven't done one of these in a little while.
Right. And we like to just find out what's going on in the community and different businesses and communities and some organizations that might have events going on. And Tyler, you got there's a big event you got going on this weekend.
Yeah. So I've been at the I've been at the cemetery for about a year and a half. And last year we were hoping to do the history walk, and COVID, yada yada yada, like everything else.
Right.
There's just one massive pause button in the entire world. It feels like just like to hit it. And so we took a break. We're kind of planning on doing it. We thought, well, maybe it's outdoors. It'll be okay. Last year, then the spike hit in our area, so we thought, I'll just pump the brakes and wait. But couldn't be more excited to jump into the history walk. It's been going on 10, 11 years before I got here. And, it's really got a kind of a true following, when it comes to just people that enjoy history, especially local history. Our aim in general at the cemetery is to be a beautiful place, beautiful setting to celebrate life and history. And so one of those ways we like to do that is to highlight, different eras or different individuals within certain eras. Just to say, hey, maybe you've heard of the Prohibition era. That happened around here, and there's some really dynamic personalities in this area during that time frame. So the Prohibition era is unique in history because you're wrapping up World War I. The Great Depression is kind of hitting. You've got a huge amount of immigration towards our area specifically, and then in the middle of all that, they decided to just axe alcohol like altogether, which at the time was extremely common. I mean, it was. They had saloons, and the Industrial Revolution was in place. Before that, they were all doing homemade beer in house. That was just almost every home was making their own beer at one point. And so it was like table wine. You hear about that in Europe, or just a glass of water at dinner now. It was that common.
They didn't have the Bush lattes.
No Bush lattes. Yeah, well, and something that maybe we get into that, but so one of the highlights we're doing in the history walk. So normally the format is an afternoon walk around the cemetery with live actors and actresses, at the graveside locations for these individuals. And then we've had a chili supper for years with they used to do bread pudding. We're going to do a hot cinnamon roll, kind of a nod to everyone's favorite cafeteria food growing up in high school, but it's a souped up version of that.
All right.
And then normally the format at night was just kind of an evening stroll, so an evening version of what would happen in the afternoon. Different characters, maybe a little bit of a more adult version of it at night, not extremely.
Is it dark? Is it dark when we do this, or
it is? It's right at sunset for the evening one. So that was the format. We got a lot of good feedback from the community, especially folks at night, saying, "Hey, it's great." But I trip over headstones because it's dark out there, or it's hard to walk 2.5 miles in the dark. The hills are kind of rolling and all that kind of stuff. And so, with my background doing different events over the years, and just my comfort level with that, as well as still wanting to honor and celebrate life and history, the evening one is really the change in the format. So we're bringing in the Muse Norris stage. On site at the cemetery, so we've got an area where there's not any burials. It's a spot that will be perfect for something like that. So we're working with Don and Dennis Higgins to do the sound and lights. We've got Mesa City Community Theater. We've got 6 or 7 actors and actresses coming out performing live from stage. We've got the hats. Local, really, if you know the hats, they're kind of the perfect Prohibition era band. University of Iowa, some of the archives there, and a couple of the universities, and they're all kind of keeping a pulse on how it's going. They're like, that's really interesting. We never thought you could pull off a house band, as part of a Prohibition walk. so they're really curious on how the format will work out, So it's a kind of pioneering a little bit, just this change, because people across the country, when you hear a history walk, it's very much the live actors and actresses, not something seated from stage, but really excited about the format change. We think
I wonder if that's how country music started.
Yeah, that was the Western. That was
the saloon and the piano player, the flappers.
Yeah,
I guess the flappers would have been way after that, but yeah. There's actually, so we've been doing something I've done. So we've been here too. We do a weekly Throwback Thursday. So it's kind of the token phrase, since social media's been around. But we highlight someone that's in the cemetery that just has a unique past. And one of them was actually a pioneer in the area, and he was known for like his shooting ability. So it was a true cowboy.
Wow.
And it was herding cattle and I think it was ox across the Midwest. And anyway, I could say that link, Jay. It's pretty interesting. It's again, like the whole point of the history walk and these Throwback Thursdays ago. Okay, we all know when someone says cowboy, you kind of have an idea in your mind of what that looks like.
Sure.
But what you don't realize is that happened in Mason City.
Yeah.
That was a real thing at one point. The Prohibition era, as wild as that was, that happened.
Yeah.
Immigration, it happened. Like some of the most influential businesses in that time frame was a Jewish man, an Italian immigrant. So it's fascinating, like the impact that immigrants have made post World War I. And how that impacted our community and how it exists today.
That Billy the Kid's out there. We start rumors.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid.
Right.
By the way, Tyler, who in your mind is probably the most famous person we have in the Elmwood Cemetery?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, it's Meredith Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah, without a doubt. The other notable thing out here, from a historical, just kind of grand scale, people are looking for historical landmarks. There's this mausoleum called the Melson Mausoleum. So Josh Melson built it for his wife Minnie. They bought and built a house in that Rockland area, kind of right when Frank Lloyd Wright was kind of going through with kind of his him and his team, if you will. And so they built this house, and I think it was within 2 years of them building the house, his wife passed away. And so to honor her, he had the same architect or that same group of architects kind of in that prairie school playground feel, build a mausoleum in that exact look and feel. So very unique. I mean, there's only I don't know of any other ones around, let alone in the country. It's extremely unique. But it's definitely Meredith Wilson. I mean, having wearing one of my old hats doing the escape rooms, I did a lot of digging with Meredith Wilson, and I think the community in general, they're really doing a disservice to not better understand him. I mean, he was an absolute pioneer. I mean, there's a Grammy at the Music Man Square that a lot of people don't realize is there because of him. He created a new genre, and bringing the musicals to the silver screen like that. Think about all the movies we've watched that have songs in it. Like he was a pioneer of doing that. World class flute piccolo player. I mean, the guy's a stud. Just a regular stud, man. And made a huge impact. And it's funny now because we hear different things about the Music Man Square and how that's how that situation's going, and I think we just missed somehow at some point like, wow, this guy was super impactful, and so he by far is the most influential person in the cemetery. And I
kind of wonder how many people actually know that Meredith Wilson was buried there.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Did you, Harry?
Yes, I actually knew that.
Really?
But I figured he was going to say that, but I think there's a lot of people that don't know he's buried there.
Yeah, I had no clue. I didn't know.
It's pretty subtle. The Meredith Wilson, the Music Man Foundation did put, they put some cobblestone walkway out there. Something we've entertained doing is just actually making the signage a little bit clearer. Hey, he's out here, and actually pointing people. We get requests for where his burial site is all the time. I mean, it's several times a week. People just stopping by and
sure, you can see that. Well, let's talk about again. It's this Saturday.
Saturday, yep.
Tyler, before you were part of this, I wondered, wasn't it more closer? Didn't they have some type of Halloween? They thought it'd be kind of a nice tie-in with Halloween, but maybe the weather was better in September than it was October. I don't know, but
I know they've experimented just with the dates and stuff. The trick is it's really like the weather. We all I grew up on a farm. Jay, you interact with farmers all the time, and this is that time of year you want it to be dry and this kind of weather. So I think in the realm of doing an outdoor event, this is probably your best shot at doing something it's not miserable or not, really early September could be blazing hot or freezing cold. It could be kind of the last damp weather we get. And then really October, you kind of want it to be 40 degrees out at night where things are drying up and starting to change color, if you will. But
Definitely start to cool down. 40-degree nights here now. So, all right. So quickly run through the times on Saturday, and also what's the cost to get in? How do we get tickets? And I know you got a Facebook event page. You can also mention that, but go ahead.
Yeah. So so we've got with the format, it's this Saturday. During the afternoon, we've got a 2:30 and a 4 o'clock stroll around the cemetery. So that'll start and end near the cemetery shop. We'll have signage at the Federal Avenue entrance. You just come in, and we'll have tickets available the day of. A few of them, at least. They've been selling really fast. The afternoon ones have. We've kind of designed it to be a little bit of a smaller group. Instead of doing 80 to 100 on a walkthrough, we're doing more like 40 to 50, and that's just social distancing, that kind of thing. Just trying to honor people that would like to do that. So that's $10 per person, and we're kind of going through. It'd be just before the Prohibition era, so it'd be kind of late 1800s, early 1900s is kind of the swath of a timeline there. Should be really fascinating. I mean, we'll highlight immigrants. We'll highlight kind of women's roles back then. I mean, it's interesting. You go out here and you look at some of the headstones, especially in that time frame. It'll just say, Mrs. J. Brooks. It won't even say like the wife's name. And so,
really,
yeah, and it was just more of the culture at the time,
Sure.
So we kind of talk about immigration and how that played and how hard it was then. I mean, even doing some of those Throwback Thursdays, it was fascinating there was a gal we did that she was one of 8 or 9 kids, and they lived in an abandoned boxcar when they first moved to the States. I mean, can you imagine that? Like you move to North Iowa and you live in a boxcar. It's crazy.
I think Jay did that actually.
Yeah. So it's again, it's
actually
some
still
of these stories are just hard to believe, but they're real and they happen here. So that's the whole point of the history walk, really, is to celebrate that.
It's all about history.
So that's $10 per person, 2:30 to 4 p.m. You're going to the cemetery office. It's just right next to that at the shop. We'll have signage in there. The chili supper is at 6, about 6 to 7, and that's going to be over by the pond. That's where we're going to have the evening event with the stage and the live music and the live actors and actresses. And so the chili supper is $10, includes chili, all the fixins, and a cinnamon roll. So that's, who doesn't like that combination, especially in the fall?
Yeah,
it's a surefire bet. And then at 7 o'clock, we've got the evening event. And so we've got 1919, the old time root beer on tap. So we'll have a tapped root beer keg. And I've got a History Walk Stein that everyone gets. It's a little bit smaller than we thought. Yeah, I thought 14 ounces would be a little bit bigger, but it's a Prohibition era kind of themed Stein that everyone gets when they come in. They can fill up the whole night.
How fitting.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. How fitting. Have 19.
Yeah, we wanted to just feel like it's just like, should I be here? We kind of want that feel a little bit, and so $20 7 o'clock. So that includes all the live entertainment. That includes the History Walk mug and the root beer,
right,
as much as you'd like to have. And so all the funds from all this goes towards cemetery preservation. It's amazing. Okay. We have a pretty significant budget each year just to maintain the grounds, and so the funds from this helps us, with keeping up the lawnmowers, to getting additional equipment to better take care of the headstones. The Belcher Mausoleum, with that being so iconic. Unfortunately, a lot of the family members, if any of them, you can't find a lot of these old family members, especially some of these more iconic pieces. And so it's just trying to get some funds set aside to make sure that's taken care of long term as well. So tickets are available at our cemetery office, 1224 South Washington, or just come in through the Federal entrance and follow the signs. That'd probably be easier. And then also at both Hy-Vee East and West of Mesa City. We're going to take those tickets and bring them out to the cemetery end of the day Thursday. So if you want to get tickets at Hy-Vee, do that by Thursday at 5. And we'll have tickets at the door available as well. We got kind of in a limited capacity. We kind of need to know how much chili to make.
Yeah.
Well, that helps, of course.
Yeah.
But don't you? I would think you'd have a lot of walk-ins. I know that's weird to say at a cemetery, but hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
lot
for
of
sure.
walk-in traffic.
Yeah, it's pretty normal. Yeah, on an average year, yeah, we do about 80 or so folks in the afternoon, about 100 for the chili dinner, then about 80 or so in the evening, and we're
That's
already tracking. Yeah, so we're tracking right at that or a little past that already for the afternoon. Already at that for chili, and then we're well over 100 for the evening. I think that's just going to be that format change is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, again, like you said, we talk to business owners, communities, organizations that do things in the community for people, and this was interesting, Harry. I had no idea.
Today.
I did. I know where Meredith Wilson's buried. I had no clue. I thought he was in the backyard or something at the house. But
Tyler, don't you kind of mix it up every year too? You kind of hit on different, like this is going to be all about prohibition, but like last year you maybe hit on something different.
Yeah, we mix it up. I know in the past we've done certain things themed along. It's a mix of theme and an era. So Prohibition era, we're hammering more of that World War I to Great Depression, Prohibition era feel. In years past, it's been iconic veterans that are buried here. Men and women of war. It's a huge range of different things. Yeah, kind of a mix of timeline or time frame and actual just kind of themes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, just think, Jay, when we die and get buried there, they could do a theme about us.
Yeah. I don't know if it'd be a good one. Yeah.
We could do some sort of a when someone walks by, we could record your voice and then it'll just say, oh, Jay Brooks.
All right. Thanks, Tyler, for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for all you guys do in the community, and you guys have done just a great job promoting things, and you guys have navigated the pandemic extremely well. So kudos to you guys and your entire team. So thanks for your time.
Well, thank you. It's the 411 and the neighborhood news right here. It's brought to you by thanks to the folks at the CG Public Health for those programs here that we bring along weekly, or try to anyway.
Yeah, whenever they come up.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyler, I hope you have a great, successful walk there on Saturday.
So our Facebook page is facebook.com/Mason City Cemetery. So facebook.com/Mason City Cemetery. So if anyone's interested in looking at we got Throwback Thursday videos. We've got about 25 or 30 of those on there now, and just information on the history walk as well if you have questions.
All right, very good. All right, Tyler, thank you much.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You bet.
Thank you.